welcome back to another episode of Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying. Grab a notebook because I'm about to teach you how to make $1 million. Like right now, if you are in e-commerce, it is time to tap in. I have the one and only Gamal Codner with me today. Welcome, Gamal.
What's up? Glad to be here.
They can't hear you when you give them a peace sign.
I know. I just gave y'all a peace sign. My bad.
Yes, for anybody who is not listening, I am so pumped that you are on today. I've been stalking you for at least 2 years. It took me like six invitations to get you to show up, but mission accomplished. So shout out to me for being persistent, just to kick the
Shout out to
show
you.
off. Yes, amen. For anybody who does not know you, how can we give them like your career is so big to me, but how can we give them a quick note on who you are and how you got started in e-commerce?
Yeah, my real quick kind of 60-second version is I was born in Jamaica. Family came here, did the whole corporate vibe for a little bit and hated it, even though I was making six figures in my 20s. But from someone coming from Jamaica, you can't really say that out loud because, like, you've reached, right? And so I spent a couple of years trying to figure out how to do something, and it sucked. In 2 years, I made about 8K in side income, and you don't need to be good at math to realize you can't leave $100,000+ a year job for 4,000 a year. So I ran into my buddy who was doing Facebook ads at the time. He was doing something called affiliate marketing, which is essentially drop shipping for skincare and healthcare products. And I was like, yo, I need to learn. So I took a week off, went to his house, and the rest was history. In my first 90 days working with him, I made $107,000 in profit in my essentially drop shipping store, which allowed me to learn how to do Facebook ads, which I got up to like $5,000 and $10,000 a day on spend. And that eventually got me away from corporate. I eventually got to do, six figures a month on my own. And then I did a whole bunch of things in between. But most notably and most recently, I launched my own brand. I wanted to create something real after I had all the experience with an agency or drop shipping. And so I started my own brand with my family, and we grew that and sold it in 4 years. And so I took a little break, and now I'm back at it.
Mm, that is quite the resume. Shout out to affiliate marketing. Shout out to drop shipping. Some of my favorite industries to get into. The Get Rich crew, they know me. I am all about working smarter and not harder. So I am a big, big fan of those. And then shout out to six figures a month. Like I haven't touched that money yet. I'm manifesting it for 2023. I think that's where life get real good, right? When you hit six figures in sales or in profit a month, that's when life starts to change dramatically, I would say.
Yeah, when you start thinking like, man, I'm trying to make six figures a year, and that becomes a month or a couple weeks, it's different because you're like, damn, I've been thinking small this whole time. And then also like you just have more mental clarity. When we sold our brand, the moments after that was the most clear and like stress free I've ever been. Because even as an entrepreneur, when you make money, it's like highs and lows, right? And so you make some, and then you have seasons of slow months, or you mess up, you make some, take some L's, and then you're always like the average, right? And so your average may be 10K, and then you start making that, and you raise your average, so now maybe 40 or 50K. But it always goes down. When I sold my business and we had like all that money hit the account, when you cash out on your brand, you could probably make like 80% of the total earnings of your brand the day you sell. So like whatever you've made so far, that's like 20%. And the math says that when you sell, it's like 4x more than all of your entire earnings. So it's a lot of money. It's like what you would make in 5 years all at once. And so that for the first time, I was like stress free and just
Yeah.
chilling. And so each level, each level you get is just like more comfort. Like, all right, cool. I'm comfortable. I could finally make real decisions instead of like financial decisions. I could do what's best
Right.
for me, regardless of how much it costs, so on and so forth. So it's
I
good.
love that. And that's really what I promote to my people. Like people, they kind of butt heads with me often because I talk about money so much. But the thing is, I want our people, my people, to get out of survival mode. We just surviving. We just doing what we need to do to get the job done so that paycheck comes. But you don't have room and space in your life to grow, to develop, to pour into your community, to pour into your family because the rent is due on Monday. So I talk about that constantly so that people can get in that space of mental clarity where you can do things where you can thrive, where you can really build the life you want, because we are not robbing Peter to pay Paul every 72 hours. Like, I am a big fan of that. We're going to talk more about that. But first, I want to do a bit of, I want to do some definitions, because I think that people get confused with growing, scaling, and exiting. Can you like give us a breakdown of what it means to grow a business, scale a business, and then eventually exit? I think that's a new term for my audience.
Yep. And so I'm all about all three. And so growing is, I would say like up to 100K a year, maybe like, two 250 a year. That's when you're trying to figure out product market fit, which product you should be selling, who the avatar is, who's going to use it the best. And I had a coaching program for that pretty much on the side as I ran my business. Because unlike a lot of other people, I made 90% of my money from like actually running the business. So the coaching thing was like, you just kind of my way to help people along the way. And that's mostly what I've helped founders on. And then once you find like your 1 to 2 products, because you only really need one good product doing 20 to 30 sales a day at $30 per transaction to hit like 6 figures.
Yes.
So one product,
That's
selling 30 of them a day for $30.
Yes.
Right, it's simple. One product, $30 a day, 30 of them per day. That's 360K a year. So what I'm talking about is really just finding one product and one type of person in the world that needs it. And then once you do that, you need to now scale. And this involves systems. And so I have now created a program around systems and exits. And so with the systems piece, you don't have a business if you're the only one in the company who knows how to do stuff. You need to start taking your visionary ideas out of your head into some SOPs, into some documents, and hiring other people to do it. Because you don't want to have $1 million business if you're working 14, 15 hours a day, because you just created a golden prison, right?
Yep.
You're still a prisoner to this trophy that you created. And so the scale part is all about having repeatable processes that can run without you so that you can start enjoying the fruits of your labor. And then the exit piece now, that's the kind of final pinnacle. And this is when you've created something so valuable that, and it runs without you, that you can then sell it to someone, hopefully a bigger company, and they'll be able to take what you've built and scale it even more. And now we're talking about global, international, retail, things like that, that the average founder has no business doing if you're not, you don't have a lot of money invested into your brand, because it takes a lot of money to get to that point.
Oh, I bet. So many gems in that right there. I want to amp on, you can get to 6 figures with one product at 30 sales a day. Like, I hope that Get Rich Crew, you are tapping into that, because so many people want to sell everything. They want 500 things, and each thing needs to be $1,000 sale a piece, and it's just not true. The math ain't mathing. It's so much easier to grab that $30 sale. And not only that, if you need 30 people to buy from you every day, guess what? It's 8 billion people on the planet. That can't be more than 0.0000001% of human beings. So stop tapping into your friends and family and exhausting your sorors, begging them to buy from you. You only need 30 people out of 8 billion. I think that is a massive takeaway. And then the other component that I love that you said is building a golden prison. Like, if you have a business that's making money, but you are the only person that can do anything in that business, you don't own a business, you own a job. And it's okay to own a job, but you could own a business where you have help and you have teams and you have SOPs and you have all the things, and they don't have to be super scary. Make yourself a Loom video and record it and record all your processes so that you can hire some help. I think that is big, 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 big. Listen up, Get Rich Crew. Okay, so when it's time to scale, right? This is my question. What is the biggest step you would recommend for somebody to do to go from the growth phase to the scale phase? They're making 250K. They're ready to turn this up. What is the next thing that they need to get accomplished?
All right, so the biggest problem that people make here, I'll start with that, is they feel like scale involves doing more shit, for lack of better words, right? And so scale is not about doing more shit. Scale is about doing the same exact thing that's working and just doing that more efficiently. and outsourcing that to more people. And I'll give you some examples. So now I work with purely six-figure founders who are trying to build seven-figure brands. And the big thing with them is they got to exit the day-to-day and put some systems in place. And then the bigger companies, they're interested in getting an investor or exiting. But with both of them, six or seven-figure brands, what I find is that in the past year, their sales have been down, which most people sales have been. But when you start digging into it, I'm like, all right, well, what changed? Oh, well, this website was working good, so I got this new theme. Oh, was that around the same time your conversions tanked? Oh, yeah. Oh, I hadn't even thought about
This
that.
website was performing great, so I changed it. Got it. Yep, sounds about right. The
Yep.
conversion rate was so good, I just had to fuck it up. Got it.
I'm like, okay, well, what was the rationale behind that? Oh, our customers got tired of it. Okay.
Did
All
they
right.
tell you that
So
they got
that's
tired of it, or did you make that up?
no,
Yeah.
it's all in our head. And I'm guilty of this too, right? A lot of this is me talking to the mirror. And the other thing is, oh, well, we were doing social. Everyone's talking about TikTok, so now I'm going to go learn TikTok ads. Okay, well, social is working fine for you. So how's social now? And what happens is when they take their eye off the prize and go do something else, they suck at that. They're mediocre. And the thing that they were good at, they're not giving it any attention because the new thing is frustrating. And so the thing that you were originally good at starts performing way less. And the thing that you're trying to learn, you suck at it. And so the thing about scale is you got to make sure that you have inventory of what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and what makes revenue. If you're checking a yes on all those things, please don't stop doing that and outsource other stuff. And so that's the biggest thing. Founders are getting in their way a lot by just, for whatever reason, they stop doing what's working. Or they do it until it works and then they stop. Or, I don't know, it's just the biggest weird thing. So that's one thing.
Like shiny
And then
object syndrome.
shiny object syndrome, which is true though, because most of us are visionaries versus an integrator. And our jobs as visionaries is to come up with these great ideas, a new way of doing a product, a new marketing idea. But that's also the thing that's going to kill us first, is because we don't know how to focus and just stay down, keep your head down until you hit $1 million.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one. You are speaking to my soul right there. Been there, done that, got distracted, left this other thing, and then went back to look at the Stripe account, and the Stripe wasn't striping. So in 2023, I am really focused on diving deeper into the thing I already know works, I'm already good at, until it gets in a space where it's autopilot to where I can't mess it up. It's impossible. And then I can dive into other projects. So you are definitely talking to me on that note. Before we get too much deeper into the episode, I think we've got to talk cocktails. This is Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying. Is that coffee in your cup? If it's not coffee.
That is. It's too early. It's 12 o'clock, girl. I can't be drinking now.
We live in Miami.
I got some stuff to do.
We live in
That's
Miami,
true.
okay? It ain't never too
Which is
early.
true.
But what do you sip on when you've had a 7-figure launch? Like, talk to me. What is the Get Drunk cocktail of the day? I'm always interested to know, what do rich people drink?
I'm trying to figure out too. So I really, as you can see, I'm always in a black tea. I'm big on simplicity, which is part of the adjacent answer to what we were just talking about on how to keep doing the same stuff and how to stay focused. So I am real simple in a lot of areas. And so my only two drinks are champagne and tequila. That's like what I'm drinking 95% of the day.
Yes. Same. Champagne
That's it.
and tequila. That is really my format. Tequila is the only upper of the liquors. So rum and bourbon and all that stuff is great, but tequila is the upper. That's how you keep the party always going. And champagne is always a must when we are celebrating big money moves. I am a fan of that. I knew you would have my type of energy. I love it. Y'all heard it here first, guys. We need some champagne to celebrate these exits. All right.
There you go.
I want to talk about Fresh Heritage. Like, I am so obsessed with what you built. That's how I found you initially. You were teaching a Shopify class, and you put me on to the, oh, how did I just lose you? Okay, there we go. I think
I'm
you were
here.
touching something. Okay. So you put me on to, let me rewind just in case they need to edit that out. Okay, so the first time I found you was a Shopify class you were teaching, and you were talking about this system where you could do giveaways for your business. Do you remember that? I'm sure that was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, Up Viral. I launched like 4 businesses on that. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
forget about Up Viral.
Yes, it was so good. I did the same thing for my business. It exploded my email list. So shout out to you for that. But Fresh Heritage is how I found you. So the Shopify class led me down the rabbit hole of learning about that brand. Can you give us a little bit of insight into what you built with Fresh Heritage and then tell us about the decision to exit that business?
Yep. So I'll talk about in that order. So Fresh Heritage, internally and externally, we have a different response, and so I'll tell you the internal kind of what we do because now my NDA is completed, and so I can talk more about what we're doing behind the scenes. So I think this is the first podcast interview that I am able to like talk about what we're building,
Thank you,
actually.
Jesus.
So, right. So from the outside looking in, we sold grooming products for black men, right? Think Bevel, Shea Moisture Men, all that kind of stuff. Beard care, shampoos, oils, conditioners. But from the inside looking out, from the jump, what we always wanted to do is build a community of high performance black men. And the way we monetize it was through grooming products. But we could have done it through ties, shirts, whatever. And so it's a subtle difference, but it made a big difference in how we build our community and how we were able to get, over 3,000 people subscribed to our membership program, how we had one person buy over 46 times, how our profit margins were over 40% as a brand and not a dropshipping store. Just because we never thought we were selling product. We were just trying to form a relationship with that type of high value dude or that high performance guy that has a lot of discretionary income so that we could monetize them in a way that it felt like they were giving back and they were participating in something that was bigger than them. And so it was really interesting. And so that was the thing from the jump. And why we decided to start that was because one of the things I left out of my intro is for a few years I spent some time in M&A. I raised and helped deploy around $50 million in like capital. And personally, I've raised, VC money, equity, mezzanine debt, bank debt, high net worth individual equity. So I've raised a lot of money. And for about a couple of years, I shadowed my mentor and I helped him deploy about 10 to $15 million into different companies. And then I actually raised about $15 million myself to go and invest in a company. And so I had a lot of experience on the other side of M&A, like finding deals, buying them, investing in them. And so I wanted to be on the other side. So instead of giving checks, I was getting checks. And so from the jump, Fresh Heritage on day one was designed to sell in 3 to 5 years. So we just started with our end goal and worked backwards.
I think that is massive. So much to talk about right there. First of all, starting from the end is like my favorite thing to do in entrepreneurship. I figure out what the goal is and then I work backwards and break it down into teeny tiny steps and get it done that way. I'm a firm believer of let's just jump off the mountain and build the plane on the way down because it takes too long in the other direction. So, I mean,
Facts.
I had this question for you later, but let's dive into it right now. What does a person do? How do we set something up that we know we want to exit later? Because, and then is it too late to get into it, run it for a couple years, and then want to exit? Or should we be figuring out the exit from the beginning?
Great question. So one of the things that we talked about, which is important on scaling your business and most definitely exiting, is having a North Star. That's the first thing. And so a North Star isn't really like a step. It's more like a destination you like to get in. You can get there in any which way, but with each choice or decision you make in your business, you want to ask yourself, is this getting me closer to this goal or this destination, or is it leading me away from it? So having that in mind is super important, right? So that's the first thing, just being clear about the fact, hey, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I want to sell this business. It helps you make more intentional decisions. And so that's the first part. The second part is, essentially just making sure that you have what I call transferability. That is, can the business run without you? Because no one is going to buy your brand if they need you to stay involved, right? You, like you mentioned, you just have a high paying job. You don't have a business. And so transferability, especially for people who have big communities online, they start off being the face of the brand, and that's perfectly fine. But over some period of time, especially if you know you're intentional about wanting to sell, you're going to have transferability in your business where you have systems, SOPs, and other people who help run the day to day. So that's super important. The other thing is you're going to have really good bookkeeping. So as founders, we oftentimes run businesses to run things through it, right? And so we have a bunch of expenses, phone, cars, whatever, which is all great because the tax code is set up for that. But that becomes pretty sticky when someone else is trying to buy it, right? And so there's a special process that you have to go through when you're ready to get your books in order to like be viewed by an investor, which is very different from what you do to like file your taxes or internally. So you have to have like these add backs or SDE type of books created that kind of clearly dictates how much the business is really making. For example, let's say your business makes 100 grand on paper, but you're running your car note through it, your part of your apartment, whatever, right? You got like $10,000 worth of expenses. Well, if you're going to sell your business, you'll get a 5x multiple off of that. So that's essentially, 50K that you're just going to leave on the table just because you ain't know. So cleaning up your books. And then the third thing is you got to have a clear path to grow. And so you got to leave some things unturned so that someone looking to buy your company sees a clear path for them to make some money. Oftentimes people would like max out their business and then it starts declining and they try to sell it on the downturn. Well, no one's going to want to buy that. It's too late.
Got it. Oh, I've never heard that.
So those are the three things. Yep.
I've never heard that, and I never would have even thought of that. Not to max out every single opportunity in the game because nobody's going to want to buy it there because there's no space for them to grow. And we definitely don't want to wait until things are on the decline to start to sell. Oh, massive, guys. We got to know when it's time to leave the party. I think that is a big takeaway for the people. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, you had this 1-day e-commerce boot camp. Loved it. It was so good.
Appreciate you.
It was so good. My biggest takeaway though was thank you God, I do not have bulk inventory. Yeah, no thank you. As y'all know, I am a drop shipper. I've been a drop shipper. I will stay a drop shipper to the day I die. And going to Gamal's boot camp really drove home that I will never ever buy bulk inventory. And the reason was you were teaching about negative cash flow. And I had never really heard about that because I don't have bulk inventory. Can you like talk to the people about what negative cash flow is when they want to get into business and buy inventory to get started?
Yeah, so e-commerce is essentially a Ponzi scheme, right?
That's what you said on the boot camp, and I was like, that's crazy. But you explained it so well.
Most people don't realize. So a Ponzi scheme is essentially something that you have to bring new money in to keep the thing going, right? And so the minute you stop bringing in new people to invest in your thing, the people who are in it already, they don't have any money to make because the thing isn't actually supporting itself. Same with e-com. So what happens is on day one, you got to buy inventory. That'll come in like 8 weeks, right? So 2 months. So between day one and 2 months, you got to make money because you got to pay like 50% down. And then at the 2 month mark, you got to pay 100% down. Then it may take like 2 weeks to get here from China or wherever you're getting it. So about 3 months in after you've made your deposit, then you can actually start selling. But you don't just buy 1 month of inventory because it takes 2 months to get here. So you got to buy like 3 months of inventory. So you may not fully get your money back by like month 5. And then you got to do it all over again. And so what happens is a lot of founders don't realize that all the profits between like day 1 up to month 5 is just being tied up to front and keep funding new inventory. And I didn't really realize this. It's weird because I was in M&A. I should have known this. I should have known better. But I didn't realize this until I had my own brand and we're at 6 figures a month. And then I lost my ad account. And the Ponzi scheme kind of popped up. It's like a rug got pulled from under me because I no longer had a way to generate revenue. And I realized all the profits that my bookkeeper said I was making was tied up in my warehouse because all the past month's worth of profits was sitting in my warehouse. And so I had no cash. And so that's the problem with e-com. And the faster you grow, the bigger that problem is because now you have to buy double the inventory if you want to double the business on today's profits, which is already thin. So that's the problem with e-commerce.
Ooh. I was shedding tears for the people in the boot camp. Like, I just felt so bad for them. I didn't chime into the comments because I was like, I'm a drop shipper. This ain't my business. I don't got nothing to do with that. That sound rough.
I would have muted you. Don't worry about her, guys. Don't worry about her.
And that's why I didn't say anything. But I was in tears for these people because I could only imagine how rough that is and how you're constantly having just insecurity in your business because you don't know if you have enough money to go forward, to grow, let alone to scale. But for anybody who's in that position, Gamal has a ton of resources that I will link for you guys in the show notes, and he can help you and teach you how to get out of the Ponzi scheme. If you're not in that situation, I obviously advise dropshipping. I always will because it's real ghetto on that side of life. Them people are stressed. They losing hair. They are just in a puddle because they're trying to figure out how to pay for their businesses to move forward. Ponzi scheme that is e-commerce, and I was saying how grateful I am that I am not in it. And you were telling the people they should still get into bulk inventory or they shouldn't get into bulk inventory. What are your thoughts? Like, what should the people know before they actually dive in and place that big order?
Yeah, so I think drop shipping is a great place to start, I ain't gonna lie, because you learn a lot of the fundamentals, and that's how I started essentially in skincare and weight loss products. And by the way, I got to that 100K plus profit all with one product in the 90 days, right? And so everything I'm saying, I've lived it and I've done it, and I know it to be true. It's not like something I think of or like I believe, something I know, right? But I think for me, my wealth building path is to build more brands and exit them, because I just told you, like, the most value you're going to get out of a brand is the day you sell it. And I'm just uniquely experienced to like figure that out. Not a lot of people, like less than 1% to 2% of Black founders get an investor, exit, whatever. And the numbers are even more skewed because it's the same people who just keep doing it, right? You see the same people raising money, you see the same people doing it. And so I'm one of those people, and I have nothing wrong, no shame in my game. I'm about to keep flipping it. But at this phase, I don't want to start something from scratch. So I'm partnering with people who have existing brands because I know how to solve those issues. So I could fix the negative cash flow cycle, and I could fix the systems and SOP problem because we have businesses who do this. We can implement them for ourselves. And so that's my like path. I still think it's possible. You just have to fix it, because until you fix that, you can't really scale your business. You're just going to be scaling revenue, but your pockets are going to be dry. You're not going to be actually making any money to pay yourself every month. And that's no fun, right? Who wants to build a golden prison?
If the homies can't have none, I could not agree more. We have to make sure that who cares about growing followers? That's what people like to focus on. They
The
want to
vanity
have
metrics,
a
right?
big account that's verified and be popping on TikTok and have all these people on your email list. Cute, that's great. Where is the money? Where are the funds? Where are the finances? They want to take pictures on boxes in a warehouse that they own. That's great, but that overhead, you and I both know, is insane, and none of it matters if it's not actual money that we get to keep and reinvest in the business. Like, that's where y'all be messing up. That's why I brought Gamal on here to tell us the things that actually matter versus the things that look cute on Instagram.
And I'll go, that's such a good point. And not a lot of people talk about this, but even the people with the screenshots, right? It's all social. So nothing wrong with the big inventory shots. I got that too. But what you don't realize is that's 3 months worth of profits tied up into this one damn picture. Or you have the screenshots of, the 100 grand months, whatever. That's cool. But how much of that did you keep? What's your profit looking like? And then even though people are talking about revenue, some people are talking about profit. What no one's talking about is what's your cash flow like. Because of that 100 grand you made, let's say you made 20K in profit. I just told you got to put that into inventory. So you probably made that on paper, but you had to send that out to go get a new order. Right. And so I'm not about that screenshot life. I'm about that cash flow life and making as much money as I can while living the most stress-free life I can.
Voila. And there you have it, folks. That's what get rich or get drunk trying is. We want to be having margaritas at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday for no good reason, because we can, like, clearly I support that thoroughly. I want to talk about another thing that my students get hung up on. I wonder if your students are in the same space, but Facebook ads. You grew a massive business utilizing Facebook ads, but you told me this directly that these ads ain't what they used to be, and that the people should be pivoting and focusing on other ways to drive traffic and revenue. Like, can you tell me more about, first of all, why do ads suck now? And what else should people be focused on instead of ads?
Yeah, and so great question. And to understand this question fully, you got to understand the difference between trends and fundamentals. And so the trends of running ads, how they used to function, that no longer works, but they still serve as a fundamental way to create massive awareness, right? And so the main reason it's different now, especially for beginners, is because before you used to be able to put $100 in some ads blindly and log into your dashboard, and it would be like, great, you made 400 bucks. Well, what happened is you can't do that anymore, not because it doesn't work partially, but mostly because with the iOS update, but it's really what iOS is able to tell you. And so let's say it takes you 2 to 3 weeks to convert a customer. Before, that dashboard used to be able to track people for a month to be able to tell you if they converted or not. Now they can only track people for a week. So if you spend the $100 on ads, but then people get paid next Friday, and then they buy next Friday, you're not going to see that data show up on your dashboard. So a lot of beginners don't have either the bank load or the patience to wait and to invest it. They don't see the bigger picture. So it's harder now if you are unexperienced to start, just because a lot of it really you have to trust yourself and have the patience to, which you haven't developed thick skin around. Now, I still think that's the best, like, and most cost-effective way to create massive awareness, but that can't be the thing you rely on to drive sales. So you have to be actively building your email list, your SMS list, and you got to actively, what I believe, build like some way for people to come back and buy from you again. Because on the bootcamp, what I shared was there's really only 3 ways to grow businesses. And this is like old school methods, right? And so not all the trendy stuff. So it's really just get people to convert, get them to spend more every time they convert, get them to come back and convert more. And so ads really only have always served one focus, is just getting new people to convert. And they work so well that no one paid attention to the other stuff. But now that it's not working so well, you got to start focusing, instead of getting new customers, how can we just increase our website's conversion rate so that regardless of whoever Facebook sends, I can convert 2-3 times more? Or, all right, now that I converted them last month, what can I do to get them to come back again so I don't have to pay for ads again, right? That's email and SMS and subscription. So there's these other things you got to start working on now as a founder to really build a real business.
I think that is so important. My favorite way to make money is email marketing. My biggest regret in life is that I didn't start an email list, 12 years ago, of people who had the slightest, foggiest interest in anything I was doing. I make the most money in my business from email marketing, and my active campaign software might cost $400. Like, there's just no reason that you are not printing money from your email list. These are people who are giving you access to them. They want to know what you've got going on. And the other thing that I'm obsessed with is average order value. That is my favorite metric to work on all the time. And it basically means that how can I get every single person to spend more money when they are on my website? New people, old people, referred people, whoever they are. I need to constantly be working on that, and it will make a massive change in your business. Like Gamal is saying, it ain't all about the ads. It's not all about the new people that are coming in. What can you do to service the people who are already there? And then I'm thinking about you saying that you had one customer buy from you 46 times. Like,
yeah,
that is insane. I ain't even nowhere close to that. But that is, if that's not loyalty, if that doesn't show you that there is so much money to be made in e-commerce, I don't know what is. And having, what do they call it, like disposables products, the products that you need to reorder all the time. I've never been in that market, but damn, I want to get into it. 46?
Yeah, so like I'll give you, I hate listening to podcasts and they tell you all this stuff, but they don't really give you an example or tell you how. And I realize I just did that. So I'll give you a very real actionable thing on how to increase all of those. So the easiest way to increase your conversion rate, and ours went from about a 1.5 to like a 4. So it's very possible. It's like a 3x.
And industry standard is 2, y'all.
It's
FYI.
2. So like if you get 100,000 customers visiting your site, which is very realistic if you're paying ads, 1,500 of them convert all the way up to now 4,000 by doing nothing else, same ads. So it's a night and day, right? You almost tripled your business. So the best thing, and it's not the button color or any of this stuff. It's really just answering objections on your product page. So taking your best product.
You ain't have to hit them with the button color. You know that
it ain't
they're
a button
obsessed
color.
with the perfect lime green button color, and it ain't that.
It ain't the button color. It's not the font. It's none of that foolishness, right? It's simply understanding what your customers' pain points are and telling them this product solves that pain point on the page. That's it. Just get straight to the point. And that's what we understood. And the best way to figure that out was by reading our reviews and just putting our reviews into 3 buckets of these are the 3 things people care about. They either talk badly about it or talk highly of it. But either way, it comes up consistently in our reviews. So this is something that's important. So for us, one of the things is, does it work? People would either say, yes, it worked or it didn't work. So right on the first line of our product page, we talk about how it works. So that's one. And then the second piece is how to get people to spend more each time they buy, increasing your AOV. Ours increased about $20 through this stuff. So if you get $20 more and then 2,500 more orders per month, that adds up pretty quickly. And so the best way to do this is just bundle products that help make that benefit. And so let's say in the same example, people were trying to fill in their patches faster. We gave them, instead of just buying one product, we gave them a suite or a bundle of products. And the purpose of this bundle was to help them get even faster results. And so we had additional things to help them get their desired results faster and easier. And then the other way is helping them come back and buy more, which is how we got someone to buy 46 times. So think about it. Let's say we spent $20 on ads one time to convert this customer. They came back and bought 45 more times. How the hell did we do that? Well, that was through our subscription program and our membership emails and SMS. And so those are like $1.50 to convert them these other times, right? And so we had like a well-oiled machine that when ads converted them on the front end, we had all these things on the back end going to keep them coming and keep them coming back.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's just answering their objections on the product page alone. I think if y'all don't do nothing else that you heard in this episode, answering, like, people do not understand how important that product page is. They want to have the most beautiful homepage website, the about us, the photography. Baby, the money is above the fold on that goddamn product page. And if you can answer every reason why somebody would say no to your product right there in your copy or in the reviews or in the feedback, you are going to print money so much faster, easier, and it costs nothing. It's free to do. Instead of pumping all that time and having the perfect ads and creating TikToks, create the perfect product page answering their objections. Massive pro tip right there. It's too much.
One of our mastermind students in Exit Blueprint, they paid $30,000 to get someone to update their website. Amazing website. We do one-on-ones for anyone who enrolls, and we went through the process of just like increasing her conversion rate. It increased a whole percent, so like from 2 to 3. And so just think about that: 100,000 people to your site per month, and for free, no development, anything. We just answered some basic stuff, and it jumped up a whole percent. And so she was able to essentially grow her business by 50% in one conversation with spending no money, just by understanding how to convert your customers better. That's it. And it didn't cost a $30,000 website development.
It was free. Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't free, but it was included.
I mean, the actual writing the copy part is free, and it's something that all of you guys can do at home. Massive takeaway.
Correct.
That is your homework for today, is to update that product page and answer people's objections. I think it's time for a get rich tip. This entire episode has been a get rich tip. But now, okay, let's say we're founders. We're making the money. The coins are where the coins need to be. What should we be putting our money into that is going to make us more money? What is the get rich tip of the week?
Good question. So is this like in Business or just in life?
in life.
Okay, so a friend of mine posted about this the other day, and I'm a big believer that up until a certain point, the biggest ROI you're ever going to have is investing in yourself. And so
Absolutely.
there's no stock or real estate or whatever that can consistently grow your income. Like everyone tries to skip a step, but the reality is you can't get rich unless you're making more money. And the best way to make more money is to just figure out how to grow your active income. So I double down on courses, masterminds, conferences. I'm always like spending way too much money on that stuff because all that stuff just adds to my income potential.
I love that. And there's no limit there. I agree 200%. We just had Billy Jean on the last episode, and he was talking about how people want to, they want a high yield savings account, right? They want to earn 2% interest on this thing. And he's like, forget all of that. The only thing you should be spending your money on is learning how to make more money. That's it.
Correct.
Until you make your first $1,000,000. And I agreed with that so much. And now we are on Gamal's episode, and he is telling us the same thing. There is no
Success leaves
maximum.
clues.
Voila. But you got to pay to get the clues. You got to show up to the courses, to the masterminds, to the workshops, to the live meetings, to show up to be in those rooms. And the amount of money that you can make, the amount of connections and resources that you can get are invaluable. I agree with that advice so much. Okay, I want to talk about, well, first, before I even forget this, did you ever think of turning Fresh Heritage into like a dating thing?
So it's funny because
Because I'm just thinking about, like, this just popped into my mind. So you had a network of hundreds of thousands of upwardly mobile brothers. You ain't want to
Bruh.
give us, like, you ain't want to put us in for the girls. You ain't want to, like, partner with
So
somebody. So we
so
can do
that
some
was a
matchmaking.
that was a big part of what we did. By the way, I've connected two people who are now married with kids. So your boy
And I'm out
knows
here
what he's
single,
doing.
and you ain't found me no husband. Wow.
You,
We
I
don't
ain't
talk about
know.
this
I ain't
after
know.
the episode. We don't talk about this.
Yeah. So both like successful. Both are entrepreneurs. One is in Steve Harvey's business. He's his chief of staff, and I connected him with his wife. And then my other boy is a chiropractor. Connected him with his wife. So all high value guys with high value women.
And you
But
didn't want to parlay that into a service after you had this email list of all these people.
Now that you mention it, that might be an opportunity. But like that was part of the subtle thing that we did. So remember, we didn't sell beard care products to men. Who cares about that? That's boring. What we did was build a community of high value men and high performance men. Now, building that is a big difference because we would have these quarterly events where we would like partner with a bar, buy out like, a couple rounds of drinks, and we would do invite only. So for our VIPs and stuff, and we would also choose a select group of like women. And so we had like, attractive women, also high performance women. We just had a mix of really cool people. So we would have partners at law firms, some dude who just sold his business for 20 million. All these people who are in our community with these matching them with other really dope females in the same room. And so these events just became something that people were like, literally people would like find out the address and just show up and not be on the
Not
guest
on the
list. I'm
list.
like, and this is a beard care company, right? Who is doing this? And so that was a subtle thing that we realized, that part of the community we're building was creating that space for people to network with other people, both same sex and also different sex, because opposite sex, because people were interested in dating.
I think that is massive, and I think the takeaway there, because I forgot this earlier, is that, folks, we don't have to focus on the product. And I know that feels counterintuitive to what you guys know, but you do not. The product does not have to be the hero of the show. Gamal is teaching you that the community and the relationship was the star of the show, and those product sales were a byproduct of that relationship, because people wanted to be in alignment with the beard care. You can get beard stuff everywhere, but his UVP, his differentiator, is the fact that you can buy beard care anywhere, but what you won't be is a part of this exclusive community of brothers that are doing the same thing and want the same thing out of life. I think that is massive. I think that's super, super important, and especially for us as drop shippers. Like, We sell products that everybody has access to. But what you do have is the ability to make something different and stand out in a really unique way. And I didn't want to forget to talk about that. And the next thing I want to ask you about, I got 2 more questions for you before I let you get out of here. Number 1, I want to talk about the Get Rich Read of the week. What is a book that you recommend that everybody on this podcast be reading? I know you've read so many good ones. Is there something in particular right now that's talking to you that we should be adding to our Amazon list?
Yeah, there's so many. Let me go on my Audible.
Know,
so
right?
I'll give you 2 that's on the top of my mind. So
perfect.
Atomic Habits is just amazing for staying focused and practicing minimalism and just getting stuff done. And then Who Not How is also important. It talks about that transition as you go from like self-founder in the growth stage to when you get to scale stage. It really is involved with like who is also in your community or your company. And so those are 2 good books that's on the top of my mind now for the start of 2023.
Agreed. And I feel so smart because I've read them both. So
there you go.
Who Not How would be the one that I would vote y'all start with, because when I was launching my business, the number one thing that held me back is I thought I had to do everything. I thought that I was the smartest person in the room. I had to figure this out and nobody else can figure it out. I would be on the Forbes list if I had started with that Who Not How mentality of not only should I not be doing it, I have no business doing it, and I'm robbing somebody else of doing what they were put on this planet to do. Like, I would be platinum if I started with that mentality. I will link those books for you guys in the show notes. I fully support those too. And before we get out of here, I want to talk about a reel that you posted that really got my attention. And you were talking about Mayel Organics and how she just sold her brand to Procter & Gamble, and the people are having mixed reviews, okay? The people in the blogs, they are hating, they are jealous, they are mad. And now that you've taught us so much about growing and scaling and exiting, can you explain a little bit about what it meant for Mayel's brand to be sold, and why are people really just confused when they're upset about this?
Yeah, see, the point of the matter is, if you want to study the most predictable wealth building path, it's literally own assets like a business, grow the value of the thing, and then sell some or all of it, right? The top 10 richest black people, richest white people, richest people in the world, 90-something% of them have all done that. And so from the Jeff Bezos, who essentially did this publicly by selling Amazon, he owns less than 10% of his company, or to the private people, right? And so like the Jay-Z's who sell their companies without going public, Rihanna's, that's how they build wealth, by building something, a business, and selling it. And so wealth creation, I don't believe, should have like a color code. It shouldn't be like, all right, if you're black or a person of color,
right,
you build wealth this way, the hard way or the unproven way. And then if you're this other color, then go ahead and follow the game and the blueprint. No, like everyone should follow the blueprint. So that is my belief, and that's what I'm hoping to share with other founders who join my programs. Now, why people are upset, and this is big too, because we primarily built a community of black men, and so it was like a forest bias company, and so we thought about this when we went to sell, like, you know, the whole sell without selling out piece, which is a big reason that people don't go through this process and don't like miss out on a blessing, or they wait until their company's now declining to try to sell it when no one's interested. And so I think that some companies do get themselves in trouble, and they deserve it when they build a brand by saying, oh, you know, we're never going to do that. Or, you know, we're building this thing because it's black owned. And so if you're going to say that and then go sell, I understand the outrage. But right. we almost like, especially towards the end, we said that we're a company for people of color. We never really pushed on, right. We never really pushed like, yo, it's always going to be black owned, black owned, black owned. We said it was black founded and for black men. That's a clear differentiator. So we kind of set the expectations. And then when you do go to sell, the biggest concern is that I saw in the comments where they're either selling out for, oh, that little 100 million, 200 million. Oh, you should have kept the company to build generational wealth.
Not little. They didn't write little. Nobody wrote little 100 million.
You sold out your generational wealth for 200 million. They don't understand.
What do they think generational wealth? I'm confused.
They don't understand. Part of
Where
it
do
is
they
like
think the money is going.
They somehow believe that you make more money after we just explained negative cash flow cycle, they think that somehow having all your profit and your generational wealth tied up in that inventory in the warehouse is better than cashing out for presumably nine figures, right? And so it's a lot of misinformation. There's, so thank you for giving me the space to talk and give more light, because Jay-Z said it a while back in an interview, when he told his uncle he wanted to be a rapper, and his uncle was in love and in his best interest trying to talk him out of it. But it was that he was pushing his fears in Jay-Z, and then he recognized that it wasn't malintention or misdirect. It's just misdirected love. And so I think a lot of what's going on is misinformation with our community. And then the other thing is the formula is going to change, which is probably the most valid response. But they don't realize formulas have always been changing. They change for a variety of reasons. Supply chain, regulation changes. And so you can literally keep the same chemist team and into Procter and Gamble, and the same people who are working on your product can still move. And so I think people just think whenever you sell your business, everything is going to change and it's all going to be for the worse, just because they don't really understand what happens when you sell your company.
Okay, we're back. Why would you freeze? Why? Mercury in micro braids? What is going on?
That is hilarious.
This is pure comedy at this point. You were saying that Jay-Z realized that his uncle loved him. He just was misinformed and giving him like his own fears. He was projecting his fears onto Jay.
Yeah. So he was like, I think the line I'm paraphrasing was, my uncle told me I never sell a million records. I sold a million records about 1,000,000 times. And he was like, yo, my uncle had seen so many other people try and fail that he didn't want him to go through that process to fail too. But really it was his uncle projecting his fears. And so I think when I see a lot of people of color in the comments talking about this, I can tell, one, that it's misguided because they don't truly understand the process of exiting and what goes into it. And especially when it relates to like why this is not the best path for wealth building. It's just misinformation. Or that the formulas are going to change, where it doesn't have to every single time you see an M&A transaction, because the team building the product oftentimes can also go over to the acquiring company. And if you stay involved as a CEO to run the business, you still have say into the process.
On how things go. Mm-hmm.
And with our company, particularly when we sold, we wanted to make sure that some people had an idea to, open it up to the public and make it more like an inclusive brand. But other people, it was like, no, the value in this brand is keeping it only for Black men. And so you can sell to someone who shares your vision for the brand. And so things don't have to change. So I could tell it's just misguided information.
I think that is such a good breakdown. That's so much more clear. And generational wealth means that they're selling so that they can use the money for their family, for the generations. That is the whole point. And never block your own blessings. Like you said, never stay down, because those same people that are talking shit about you staying down are going to do nothing for you when you're on the clearance rack. They're going to do nothing for you when your business is falling apart. They will not let you sleep on their couch if you go from, the top of the mountain to the bottom. So if you have the opportunity to do something that is in best interest for you as the business owner and as a person, do it, because it's always going to be the has-been story. It's like, we ain't got time for that. And if that's what Jeff Bezos and them ain't doing, that is not what we are going to start doing. I love that. Gamal, how can the people follow you? How can they be in contact with you? How can they get in your programs? I mean, give me everything.
Cool. So Gamal Codner on social, and I'll share all these things. Hopefully it'll be in the show notes. So Gamal Codner on social. I'm most active on IG, and I just started a YouTube channel, Codner Co., and my website, codner.co. And so those are the two places. Yeah, I'll be on the YouTube streets.
I love it. I'm in the YouTube streets now, trying. It's very ghetto over there. I got to tell you right now, it's not easy at all. Every podcast, I talk about how I hate YouTube. It is the hardest part of my business, but I will get it done, because that's what we do as entrepreneurs. That's what we do as the boss. We have to show up and show out even when we don't want to. Oh, Gamal, this was great. I appreciate you so much for finally showing up after I stalked you to be on the show for at least a year. It was totally worth it. I knew you were going to teach us so many valuable things.
I appreciate you having me on the show. And so for any of you who thought this was helpful, would love to learn more from me and what I do, check out either my Instagram or my website. We have 2 programs that essentially help 6-figure founders build stress-free, high-profit, 7-figure brands that they can sell. And so we can go through our crash course or hang out for a year in our mastermind. We got a couple ways to serve you.
Yes, highly profitable, stress-free. I mean, if those ain't the keywords, I don't know what will inspire you. And guys, of course, I will have all this information tagged for you in the show notes, and we will catch you next week on Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying. Peace, everybody. Bye, Gamal.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've learned something amazing, let's continue the conversation. Follow me on Instagram at Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying and tell me what you took from today's show. Then tap in at GetRichOrGetDrunkTrying.com to get all the details and links from today's episode. I cannot wait to get rich with you next time. Until then, peace.